guys, it's Bree. Welcome back. I wanted to talk to you today about Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in a Castle. This is one that you might have seen floating around. It's got just the most fantastic cover, and so I found that it really catches my eye whenever somebody talks about it. Shirley Jackson was a horror novelist in the 60s. She writes these really kind of shortish stories about things like haunted houses and murders and stuff. This particular story follows a family that lives in the outskirts of a small town. The main character, Mary Catherine, or Mary Cat, is kind of facilitating her family living in isolation. She's the only one who will go into the town to do grocery shopping. Her family has stopped, getting phone calls or letters. They refuse them. So she's kind of the only one who will go out and make contact with the world, which, aside from grocery shopping, is mostly just picking up library books. Her sister, Constance, is slightly older than her and is really the caregiver of the family. They also have their uncle Julian, who is living with them, and Julian is kind of undergoing dementia in a sense. He has a wheelchair and is not really able to care for himself anymore. What makes the family kind of so isolated is that 10 years from before the story takes place, Constance was on trial for the murder of her parents and her aunt and her brother. It's the kind of story that's really pretty creepy. First of all, you don't really know if Constance killed them. They ate arsenic with their dinner. The arsenic was in the sugar. And it's not really clear if she killed them or not, or why she would have done so. Julian, the uncle, in his kind of delirious state, is constantly talking about the murder as if it were still happening. He thinks that he's writing a book about it, and he's got his room filled with notes and notebooks and papers that he's just scribbled all of his thoughts on. And Mary Cat, or Mary Catherine, who is the main character, she's 18, 19 years old, but very much a child. She believes in fairies and hides things and is really very juvenile in a lot of ways. You can tell she's emotionally or developmentally stunted in some ways. So the family together just kind of makes for weird times. The story is about when this kind of big change comes to their family. So they've been in isolation for so long, and then all of a sudden their cousin Charles shows up out of the blue. He's the son of an uncle who they really have never been in contact with, who decided to sever all family ties when the murder trial was happening. And Charles comes in and starts kind of overtaking the family by degrees. He's insinuating himself into their lives, and very nefarious in a lot of ways. And Mary Cat, of course, decides to go and to change his role. She's determined to get him to leave. It's a story about largely static characters. They don't really change. In fact, when they do change, it's kind of for the worse in a lot of ways. It's really filled with mystery. It was unclear until I think the last 10 or 12 pages exactly what had happened at the murder and why it occurred. So at the same time that you were trying to figure out where the story is going with this family and Charles, their cousin, you're trying to figure out the murder. And it really shows a very dark side of small towns and just kind of people. The The townspeople are extremely cruel to Mary Catherine. They have this terrible rhyme that they'll chant at her as she walks along the street about her family being poisoned. Just really unsettling in a lot of different ways. Not the least of which is the murder, but certainly, it's dark. I would say that if you are not normally a big fan of horror, you might actually like this one. It's not graphic by any means. It's not, a monster story. It's more of a psychological suspense kind of thriller without really a clear bad guy. It's mostly the story of this family as they're trying to get along now. That being said, it does have a lot of suspense, and it is, like I said, it kind of gave me like chills up the spine when I was reading it in a very pleasant way. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed Shirley Jackson's stories. I think I'll be picking up more by her. She has one called The Haunting of Hill House that I think I'll pick up next. If you have read We Have Always Lived in the Castle, you should let me know and let me know what you thought of it. I would really be interested to hear more about your thoughts. I hope you're having a fantastic reading week. I'll talk to you later.